Hello, everybody. How are you? I hope everybody had a nice weekend. Uh, hope everybody's staying safe and enjoying their time at home. Yes. Anyway, I'd like to continue the classes. Okay, life goes on. So let's continue. Now, today we are going to be on the page. On the page 36, okay, in the pupil's book, and we have a reading to do today. All right, some reading to do. So, when you have the page, we can begin. All right. So today is about the weather. All right. So we're gonna look at some weather vocabulary. Now, it may seem trivial, but there is a lot of vocabulary to do with weather, not just the basic things that we've learned in the last few years. Okay. There is more. So we'll have a look at that today. Anyway, let's begin with the class. Okay, so if we're all on page 36, all right, we can all have a look at this cartoon. Okay, so this is a typical day in England. As you can see, the weather is terrible. Okay, it's raining, it's windy, it's probably very cold. All right, and the people here are saying, "We're all going on a summer holiday," which is a famous song by a British singer. So what does this say about British weather? Well, as you guessed, British weather is very bad. Okay, one of the reasons why all these British people come to Spain, because we do not like all the bad weather. It's too bad. Okay. Anyway, so you guys are very lucky that you're in a country with excellent weather. All right. Good. Let's have a look at the text. Okay. Now the title is "Don't Know What to Say? Talk About the Weather." Okay. So what we will do first is we will have a quick read, okay, to find out sort of the general idea. All right. So I want you to take maybe a couple of minutes and just read through the text very, very quickly. Okay. And you can pause the video while you do this. Okay. Have you finished reading the article? What did you think? It is true, British people do always talk about the weather. It's just something that we do. It's in our culture. Okay, we say hello to somebody. We say, "Oh, the weather's been really nice. Yeah, it was really sunny the other day." Yeah, it's very common to talk about the weather. So if you ever go to the UK and you want to start a conversation with somebody, talk about the weather. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. So now that you've read it, you should know what an Indian summer is. Yeah, what is an Indian summer? Now, if you didn't understand from the text, okay, it describes it over here. All right, it says an Indian summer which only occurs as a warm spell in autumn, especially in October and November. Okay, and then in other places it's known as a Saint Martin summer. Okay, and I think that's what you call it in Spanish and Catalan as well. All right, so all it is just when it's after the summer, normally around October, November, we have like a week or two of nice sunny weather just before the winter starts. All right, and this is what the Indian summer is, or a Saint Martin summer, as some of you know it. Okay, good. So now that we've had a quick read, all right, we can look at the questions that we have to answer, okay? And then we can read in more detail. So, just like with listening, it's very important to read the questions first, okay? So we'll have a look at all the questions and maybe underline important words, okay? And for each sentence, we have to say if it's true or false. Now, It also says to underline the sentence or part of the article that gives you the answer. Okay, now this is very important, all right, because it's a very useful technique when doing reading exercises. Okay, if you underline the answer in the text, okay, in your head, everything is more organized. All right, so it's very important to do this. All right, so what I'd like you to do now is pause the video again. All right, and we shall read through the text. All right, and then answer these questions, okay, true or false. And then for each question, underline in the text where the answer is. Okay, now obviously, underline in the text where the answer is. All right, so pause the video, okay, and I'll give you and take a few minutes to do the exercise, all right, and then afterwards we can correct all together. Okay, have you all finished? All right, good. Let's have a look at our answers. Okay, let's have a look at our answers. So we'll go down question by question, look at the answer, and then we shall look in the text where the answer should be underlined or highlighted. Okay, so let's begin. We'll start with number 1. It says British people talk about the weather more than they used to. Okay, so that means they talk more about the weather now than they did before. Let's have a look in the text. Okay, now I've highlighted it here in pink. It's a bit thin. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, so the part of the text that gives us the answer is this. Okay, it says Dr. Johnson in 1958 that when two Englishmen meet, their first talk is of the weather. And then with some examples, and then it says not much has changed. Okay, not much has changed. So that means that our answer, okay, British people talk about the weather more than they used to, is false, okay, because it says not much has changed, which means it's the same. Okay, let's look at our second question. People had mixed feelings about the hot weather. So some people were happy, some people were sad, maybe. Mixed feelings. Let's look in the text, okay? So the part that tells us the answer is here, all right, starting in line 10. It says, there was a sense of both delight, right, which is good, the lovely hot weather, and worry, all right, which is bad, about the threat of global warming. Okay, so delight and worry. People had mixed feelings about the hot weather. It must be true. Good. Let's continue. Some weather experts said that the warm weather was not an Indian summer because it happened in September. All right, now let's look in the text and find our answer. Okay, so the answer, the part that I've underlined that tells us the answer is here. Okay, it says the BBC's main weatherman also agreed that the heat had arrived a bit too early to be described as an Indian summer. Okay, so it's too early, right? And it says normally it happens in October and November. Okay, but this was at the end of September. All right, as I said, it was too early. So our question was, weather experts said that warm weather was not an Indian summer because it happened in September. The answer should be true. Very good. All right. Question 4. The older English term for Indian summers is still used in some parts of the UK. The older English term. All right, so let's look in our text where the answer is. Okay, here it is, line 19. All right, in Britain, until around the end of the First World War, late heat waves were known as St. Martin's summers. Okay, but it says until around the end of the First World War. Okay, which means not anymore. All right. So the older English term for Indian summers, right, which is St. Martin's summer, is still used in some parts of the UK. The answer to this should be false. Okay. Question number 5. Kate Fox says that the British talk about the weather because they are shy. Now, if we look in our text. All right, this is what she says. Britons need weather talk to help us overcome our reserve. Now, reserve can also mean being shy. Okay, so weather talk helps us overcome our reserve. Okay, and then under here, I can underline this part as well. People use weather talk to facilitate social interaction. Okay, so it's to make talking a bit easier. All right, and to help us overcome our reserve, so not be so shy. So, okay, the answer to the question, British talk about the weather because they are shy. The answer should be true. Very good. And the last question. So John Mortimer believes the British talk about the weather to avoid saying what they really think. Okay. And we can have a look in our text. Okay. It says there's nothing personal about it, he wrote. It gives away no secrets. Okay. Now you can also highlight the rest of this section because it also confirms our answer. It says, talking to our next door neighbors over the fence, we as a nation are reluctant to make such uncomfortable confessions as I can't stand your children, or I'm in love with your or I'm in love with your wife. It's far easier to say I think we'll be having rain over the weekend. So that whole last bit you can actually highlight. Okay. It's basically saying yes, that we can talk about the weather to avoid saying sort of truths that may be uncomfortable. Okay, like hating somebody's children or being in love with somebody's wife. Maybe not the best thing to talk about. So the answer to the question, all right, we talk about the weather to avoid saying what we really think. The answer should be true. Okay, good. Okay, did you get all the correct answers? All right. Make sure that you have all the corrections in your book and that you've highlighted the correct phrases in the text as well. Okay. Now remember, every time we do a reading, we should always highlight where the answers are. Okay. It's not just in this one. It's a good technique to use for every reading exercise. Okay. Good. Let's continue. So next we have some vocabulary. All right, from the text. All right. Now maybe you've managed to figure out what this vocabulary means based on the context. Okay. Normally, that's what we need to do when we come across some strange vocabulary. We look at the context and we figure out what it really means. Okay. So, for example, if we take the weather forecast, all right, it says a British person mentions the weather at least once every 6 hours, and that 70% of us check the weather forecast every day, even when nothing unusual is happening. So if we check something with the weather every day, right, it can tell us that gives us an idea of what the weather forecast is. Okay. So what we'll do now is we'll open our notebooks and we'll make a note of this vocabulary. All right. So open up your notebooks. All right. And we are going to have the title weather. All right. The date today is Monday, the 30th of March, 2020. All right. And I've just put the subheading here, vocab from reading. All right. Now you can copy this into your notebook. All right. These are the words or the terms used in the reading. Okay, on the page. And I've just given you a quick definition for each one. All right. So you can copy this in your notebook. Let's go through them. So the weather forecast is the prediction about future weather. Okay. When you watch the news, they give you the weather forecast for tomorrow and for the next few days. All right. The weather forecast. When you have somebody presenting, telling you if it's going to be sunny or rainy. The next expression says temperatures soared, right? Soared means that they went up. Okay. Temperatures went up really high. So it became hotter, right? That's what it means. Temperatures soared. Next one is a warm spell. Okay. A warm spell is a short period of hot weather. Okay, a warm spell. In the UK, there's not a lot of hot weather, so when there is a little bit, we call it a warm spell. Our next term is the heat. Okay, so the heat is just high temperatures, right? Being hot is the noun for hot, the heat. Okay, and a heat wave is a period when the weather is much hotter than usual. Okay, so normally we get heat waves in the summer. All right, so say your average summer in Spain, the temperature should be around like 30 degrees. But if we get a heat wave, maybe it'll be 35, even 40 degrees in some places for a short period, and then it'll go back to normal. All right. These days, we get a lot of heat waves in the summer because of global warming, making the weather more extreme. And we get them in Spain. We also get them in the UK now, funnily enough. That's how bad global warming is. We have hot weather in the UK in the summer. Crazy. Anyway, copy these terms into your notebook. All right, look at the definition. All right, and if you want to, you can always put them into Google Translate and look at the Spanish or Catalan term for each bit of vocab. All right, you can do that as well. Okay, but copy this into your notebook. Good. All right, so now, after we finish this, we are going to go back to our book. All right, and we're going to go to our vocabulary page about weather. So that is on page 156. Let's go. Okay, and here we have some just some terms to talk about the weather. All right, so we're going to put the phrases in the right place. Okay, in the chart, we've got this chart here. All right, and we've got all these words here that are to do with weather. Some of them you may know, some of them you may not. Okay, but we can do this all together. All right, because we're learning vocabulary. So let's have a look. All right, and we'll go one by one. All right. So number one, say it's cool, which means it's quite cold. It's cool. Yeah, it's a cool evening. Which word means it's unpleasantly cold? It's unpleasantly cold. That means it's chilly. Maybe you've heard the word chilly, right? So that when it's cold enough to make you uncomfortable. You're like, oof, it's a bit chilly. Okay. And then we have it's cold, all right? And then the word for very cold, okay, up here is freezing. You say it's freezing, right, when you're very cold. And then the last term is, right, you see it's minus 10 degrees. We say below zero. It's below zero. Okay. So this is sort of going down in degrees of how cold it is, right? So it's quite cold here at the top, and then it's really, really, really cold at the bottom, okay? And then in the middle, it's just normal, right? It's cold, all right? So we have 5 different ways of saying it's cold, all right, depending on how cold it is. Say it's cool, it's chilly, it's cold, it's freezing, or it's below zero, okay? Good. Let's continue. All right. So now we have hot, right? So words to say how hot it is. All right. So our first word means pleasant and not cold, right? So it's hot, but just hot enough to be comfortable. Okay. And not cold, which means it's mild, right? Mild. Not too hot, not too cold. Here, if it's a pleasantly high temperature, okay, so not like really sweating, but just nice and warm, we say. It's warm. You may remember from the term a warm spell, right? When it's a nice temperature, pleasant high temperature, around about 25, 26, I would say. But it depends on everybody's point of view. Then we can say it's hot. And then when it's really hot, we say it's boiling or it's scorching. And that's when it's so hot that you can't think. Sometimes in the summer in Andalusia, for example, it's boiling or it's scorching. Okay, good. Now in this box, we have words to say that it's raining or that it's wet. Okay. Now, in England, we have lots of different types of rain. It rains all the time. So we have lots of words for rain. Okay, makes sense. All right, so the first one means it's warm and wet, but not raining. Okay, so maybe just after it rained, okay, or just a little bit of moisture on the ground. All right, say it's humid. Okay, it's warm and wet, but not raining. Okay, so that's when you have water in the air. Okay, it's humid. If it's slightly wet, we say it's damp. It's damp, right? So that means maybe it rained a little bit. Okay, and now there's a little bit of water on the floor, right? And it's damp. If it's raining lightly, so not a lot of rain, but a little bit of rain, we say it's drizzling. It's drizzling, right? So it's very, very light rain. Drizzle. And then we have normal rain. Okay, it's raining or it's wet. Okay, and then we can say there are showers. Okay, like you take a shower, right? Which means it's raining on and off, right? So you're having showers. So it'll rain for a little bit and then it'll stop and then it'll rain again and then it stops and then it'll rain again and then it stops. We have a lot of frequent showers in UK, in the weather in the UK. Okay, and then finally, if it's raining a lot, we say it's pouring. It's pouring, right? I mean, it's raining really, really hard. Now, we also say in English, we have a colloquial expression. We say it's raining cats and dogs, right? It's another way to say it's pouring when it's raining a lot. It's raining cats and dogs. I don't know where that expression comes from, but we say it all the time. Okay, and the last one, okay, it's windy. Now, if there's a little bit of wind, sometimes when it's hot in the summer and you have a little bit of wind, it's actually quite nice. We call this a breeze. Okay, there's a breeze. All right, normally near the ocean, you get a little breeze. There's always a little bit of nice wind coming from the ocean. All right, so this is a breeze. Good. Make sure you have all the words written in the correct place. All right, and we can move on. Okay, let's look at our next bit of vocab. So here we have fog, mist, and smog. All right, 3 words. And you may not know them, okay? But we're going to look here at the definitions, all right? And hopefully you can figure them out. Some of you may know what fog is. You say if it's foggy, that's when there's clouds, but they're on the ground level, okay? So it's cloudy, but on the ground. So it's like difficult to see when you're driving, okay? But then there's also mist and smog, okay? Let's have a look. It says, when the weather's foggy or misty, there's smog, it is difficult to see, right? So in all cases, right, it impairs your visibility, right? It makes it hard to see. Let's look at the first one, all right? And you can copy this down. Mist isn't usually very thick and often occurs in the mountains or near the sea, okay? So especially in the mountains, the mist is when the water from the ground kind of evaporates, but it kind of stays on the ground level, okay? It's very easy to see mist in the mornings up in the mountains, okay? But it's normally very low. Fog is thicker and can be found in towns and in the country, all right? So fog is basically when there's clouds, but on the ground, okay? It's cloudy, but it's on the ground, all right? Fog. And then finally, the worst one is smog, all right, which is caused by pollution and usually occurs in big cities. So this is like the cloud, but the cloud of pollution that we that we have. Okay, so kind of a pollution cloud. And in big cities, you can actually see the smog over the city. Yeah, kind of a yellowish, whitish kind of cloud. Okay, you can definitely see it from when you're high up in the plains. All right. So smog is like the pollution fog. Okay, so again, you can put these words in Google Translate and check the word in your language. All right. Okay, make sure you have it correct in the book. All right, let's continue. All right, so we've got more vocabulary here. All right, so this is extreme weather. Extreme weather. All right, so some of these you may know, like hurricane. I'm sure you know what a hurricane is. All right, and now you know what a heat wave is as well. All right, a period of unusually hot weather. Okay, a heat wave. Okay, so let's see how many we know. Okay, we'll go down and we'll put in the correct word. So let's look. Number 2, a long, usually hot, dry period when there is little or no rain. So when there's no rain, normally it happens in the desert. Okay, so the plants can't grow. We call this a drought. Okay, right, when there's no rain for a long time. Okay, and the plants start to die. It's a drought. Number 3, it's a noun and a verb. Okay, small balls of ice that fall like rain. I'm sure you've seen this before, right? When it's raining, but it's raining ice. This is called hail. Okay, and we can say it's hailing, right? Just like it's raining, it's hailing. All right, or the noun, there is hail. Number 4, a flash of very bright light in the sky caused by electricity. Okay, what do we call the electricity in the sky? Lightning. Okay, lightning. Good. And whenever you see lightning, afterwards you can hear the thunder, all right, which is the noise that you hear, right? So lightning is the electricity that you see, and thunder is the noise that the electricity makes, okay? Normally, first you see the lightning, you wait a few seconds, and then you hear the thunder, because light travels faster than sound. Anyway, okay. Number 6, a snowstorm with very strong winds, okay? A snowstorm, that's called a blizzard, all right? That's a snowstorm. Number 7, when everything becomes covered with water, right? Normally, a lot of times when it rains here, and it rains really heavily, it's happened in the last year, okay? The water rises, it comes out of the river, and we have water overflowing on the streets, okay? And this is called a flood. Okay, when there's just water everywhere. All right. Number 8, a violent storm with very strong winds. Okay, you probably know this one. It's a hurricane. Yeah, so a big storm with really strong winds. And then the final word is the season when it rains a lot in Southern Asia. Right. So in Southern Asia, during certain parts of the year, it rains a lot. Like a lot of rain, and this is called a monsoon. Okay, when it rains a lot for a long period of time. Okay, a monsoon, and we call it monsoon season. Okay, make sure you have all the correct words in your book. All right, and let's continue. Okay, complete the weather forecast with these adjectives. All right, so this is a typical weather forecast, and we can use these adjectives. All right. So we'll read through and we'll just put in the adjectives as we go through, okay, and discuss the meaning. Okay, so in the north of England and Scotland, it will be very cold with strong winds and heavy rain, right? One way to describe rain, heavy rain, a lot of rain. There will also be thick fog in the hills, thick fog, right? So a lot of fog. In the hills and near the coast. Though it should clear by midday, driving will be dangerous as the roads will be icy. Okay, if it's really cold, you get ice on the roads, and the adjective for that is icy. Okay, the roads will be icy. However, the south of England and the Midlands will have clear skies. Okay, clear skies when there's no clouds. And it will be bright and sunny. Okay, bright means there's a lot of light. All right, bright and sunny, though the temperature will still be quite low. Over the next few days, the weather will be changeable, is the word. Changeable, right? Which means it could vary, right? It's going to be changing. With some showers, but occasional sunny periods, okay? So a short amount of time when it's sunny, okay? It should become more settled over the weekend, right? Which means if it's settled, it means it doesn't change very much, okay? It stays the same. All right, so we have changeable weather and settled, all right? Okay, make sure you have all the correct words in your book, okay? All right. So now that we've learned all this vocabulary, all right, we can go back to page 36 here. Okay. Actually, what we'll do is we'll get out our notebook again and just make some more notes on weather vocabulary. Okay. So open up your notebook again. All right, and we have a few things about describing weather. All right, so just a couple of things. So you can copy this into your notebook. All right, and I'll read through it with you. So we can use adjectives with modifiers to talk about the weather. All right, so we can say, instead of just saying it's hot, we can say it's incredibly hot, or it's really hot, it's very cold, it's really windy. Okay, so we can use modifiers to indicate the strength of the weather. All right. We can also use extreme adjectives. Okay, these are probably the two extreme adjectives that we use the most in terms of weather. Okay, when it's really hot, we always say it's boiling. Okay, what's the weather like in Spain? Oh, it's boiling. All right, or if it's really cold, you can say it's freezing. Yeah, what's the weather like in Sweden? Oh, it's freezing. Okay, all right, so you can copy this down as well. And then the final little bit of language is we can use extreme adjectives with the word absolutely, right? So we can use these terms, but we can, if we really want to exaggerate it, we can say absolutely as well. So we can say it's absolutely freezing, okay, which is like really, really cold, but so cold that you have to exaggerate, okay. And similarly, right, if it's very hot, you can say it was absolutely scorching, okay. So here are some other sort of ways we can use the language to describe the weather. All right. So copy this into your notebook. All right. There's also a little section on page 37. Okay, describing the same thing. All right. So just have that in our notebooks. All right. Good. What we will do now is we'll have a look at this pronunciation. Okay. And then when we finished with this, we can go to the workbook and finish up. Okay, so let's do this pronunciation exercise. Let's see what it says. All right, it says vowel sounds. Spelling and pronunciation. Most vowels or combination of vowels can be pronounced in more than one way. If you are unsure what the vowel sound is in a new word, check with your dictionary. All right. In terms of how words sound, again, practice is the best way to learn. Okay, the more you use words, okay, the better you'll remember the pronunciation. All right, but okay, we can get some indication from the way it's spelt as well. All right, so what we'll do in this exercise, we've got 4 words in each line. All right, we'll pronounce the words, and then you're going to tell me which one is different, which one has a different vowel sound. Okay, all right, and you can repeat the pronunciation after me. All right, so repeat after me: below, snow, showers, below. Which one is different? That's right, showers, because it's the ow, and the rest is o. Okay. Let's do number 2, all right, and repeat after me. Weather, sweat, heavy, heat. Which one is different? Heat, right? That's the E sound, that's the E sound. Okay, listen and repeat again. Drizzle, blizzard, chilly, mild. Which one is different? That's right, mild. This is the I sound, and that's the I sound. Okay, number 4, repeat. Hard, warm, dark, garden. Which one is different? Warm, right? That's the O sound, and the rest is ah. Hard, warm. Okay, number 5. Listen and repeat. flood, cool, soon, loose. Which one is different? Flood. Right, that's the sound, and the rest is oo. Good. Let's do the next line. Repeat after me. Fought, ought, drought, brought. Which one is different? Drought. Good. Number 7. Repeat after me. Thunder, sunny, hurricane, humid. Which one is different? Humid. Good. And finally, repeat after me. Scorching, whirl, tornado, storm. Which one is different? Whirl, that's the sound. This is or. Yeah, scorching, whirled. Okay, pronunciation is important. All right, so make sure you practice. Okay, good. Now, once you finish that exercise, we can go into our workbook. Okay, so if you open your workbook, and we're going to go to page 25. Okay, and what I would like you to do on page 25 is exercise vocabulary section. Okay, exercises A, B, and C. All right. So exercise A, you have 4 words on a line, and you have to circle the one which is different. Okay, with the odd one out. All right. So pause the video, do the exercise, and then I'll give you the answers. All finished? Okay, here are your answers. Okay, have a look. Make sure you correct in your notebook. Okay, and now we can do exercise B. All right, so exercise B, we have to complete the sentences with a suitable word. Okay, so look at all the vocabulary words, okay, that we've looked at for weather. All right, it gives you the first 2 letters. All right, so it's a bit of a clue. So read each sentence, all right, and then choose the word to complete the sentence, all right, from the weather vocabulary. Pause the video if you need time. Have you finished? Okay, excellent. Let's have a look at our answers. And there we go. Okay, very good. Make sure you correct any mistakes, okay? Changeable, flood, hail, heavy, drought, monsoon, lightning, humid. Good. All finished? All right, one more exercise to do. Okay, we just have to match the adjective to a noun, okay, with weather. Okay, so for example, strong winds. Okay, so try and do that on your own. Pause the video. All finished? Fantastic. All right, let's check our answers. All right, so just to clarify, strong winds, clear skies, cool breeze, sunny periods, heavy rain, thick fog, icy roads, bright sunshine. Okay, make sure you have all of these correct. All right. Okay, and if you finish this, then we can finish for today. All right, so again, if you have any questions, you can just leave some comments in the video, or send us a message by email or WhatsApp. And yes, that'll be everything for today. Okay, guys, fantastic work. And I will see you on Wednesday for our next class. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice day.